Okay, so today we are doing an office hours recording, and this is essentially part of an internal training that we're doing for our teams. We're hiring new people, and therefore this is kind of actual tactical training where I will show you a number of things that are important for capturing more emails on your website and turning your e-commerce store into a lead generating machine. Now, the tools that we use for these include Shopify, Klaviyo, Privy, Attentive, Gorgias sometimes, and MailChimp. So I wanted to basically narrate and explain the reasoning behind all of this and then show you a couple of examples to see how this is done. So what we are going to do here is we are going to look at some of the flowcharts or examples first. So there are two types of users that come to our site. We either know them or we don't know them. So the yellow box denotes unknown users, while the blue box denotes known users. Now, I'll obviously share this presentation with you, but feel free to make notes so that you get a sense of how many pop-ups are required for each stage of user journey and how to structure them, how to organize them. So for unknown users, someone coming to your site for the first time, visiting your site from a desktop, any page on your site except for product and collections pages. And there's a reason for this. When someone comes to your product or collections page, their intent to buy is more than what it is on a blog post versus homepage, etc. If they arrive at the homepage doing a brand search, or they found an ad, or someone referred them to you, either way, their intent to buy is not as strong as it would be when they clicked on a collection or a product, or searched for something and arrived on a product or collection page. So we treat the user intent differently, and therefore the message we are going to communicate will be different. And I'll share these with you as we go along on this training. So typically on the desktop, people that you don't know, and everywhere on the site, wait 9 seconds or 75% scroll and show them a multi-step pop-up. A multi-step would help you collect emails and then SMS on the next step. This helps you acquire mobile subscribers and helps you acquire email addresses. So you can add them into the hybrid welcome flow. A hybrid welcome flow makes use of emails as well as text messages to convert them into the first time buyer if they're the first time customer. So basically, it's called multi-step for rest of website. So that's the first pop-up that you need to create. A multi-step for everywhere except for products and collections pages. Now let's imagine that they closed this, or they had already closed it a couple of days ago, and they came back to your site. Now, when you set up a pop-up, you generally suggest, or you set it up in a way that do not show for 5 days after the user closes or there is a submit action, or even if it's 3 days. But let's imagine they came the next day. Clearly, their interest is high. At this point, what you want to do is you want to load this pop-up, exit intent. So this pop-up would basically not show up here, but it could show up on exit intent. The same pop-up, by the way, can be used for both. Either it shows up 9 seconds or 75% scroll, or it shows up on exit intent. It doesn't matter. Depending on how much traffic do you get and how many times do people repeat their visits to your website, you can use one or two of these. Show them the exit intent pop-up for the rest of site, move them to the hybrid welcome flow, but with exit intent gift. Now, generally what we recommend is, let's imagine a user came to your homepage. Before going to the product page, they were reading your blog, they were reading 2 or 3 different blogs. So the first time they saw your pop-up, it was fine. They continued to read. After 2 or 3 blog posts, they decided they were interested in a product. They clicked on the home link on the website. Now they're on the home page or any other page except for product and collections. In this context, you do want to take one last opportunity to capture their email address. So you want to use an exit intent pop-up saying, hey, don't leave for the next 60 minutes only, get free shipping on everything that you buy. That helps you acquire a subscriber if they have spent any amount of time on your site and they are intending to leave. You're spending money on advertising, you're spending money on driving traffic. You might as well use this opportunity to collect emails as many times as you can. If they get annoyed, I totally understand that. But if they've already given you their email address, they would not essentially worry about the pop-ups because they would see them. But if they're just browsing through and they have no intent or interest in giving you their email address, how are you going to convert them? So essentially, for most of the cases, these pop-ups are extremely well performing. So either way, exit intent versus multi-step, this is the first level of pop-up that you do. This is be generic. This is what your brand is known for. And as soon as someone comes to your site, this is the first experience they should always have about the pop-up. Now let's talk about collections and product pages. Now, these are the pages typically when you look at Shopify stores, it's shopify.yourbrand.com/collections/all or collections/specific collection name, or it could be product/product name. Either way, those pages are slightly higher purchase intent. So in those cases, you still want to have a different pop-up, but you want to have a pop-up language that is slightly different. So if on the desktop, on general site, except for collection and product pages, you had a 10% discount, you might use a 12% or a 14% discount. On the rest of the website, you may have a quiz style of a pop-up, and I'll show them to you in this training. But if you don't, then you could use a quiz style of a pop-up on this product page, wondering if this will work for you. Ask them a simple question where they can click and proceed to the next step. Micro conversions lead to macro conversions. A micro yes leads to a macro yes. So if they nod their head in agreement about something, so if, for example, and I'll show you this example, if you're selling protein powder and you ask them, hey, you want whey, you want vegan, you want gluten free, etc., suddenly you are talking their language. They click on one, and then next step they say, yes, that's great, we'll basically give you this much discount. So that's why you want to have a slightly different pop-up, so that you can test user intent and user engagement separately for these two places on your website. Now that you have collected their email, move them to hybrid welcome flow once again. So this is multi-step for product and collections pages. So this is your unknown user acquisition. We have covered every page of the website. We have covered the desktop for every part of the website. Now let's talk about known users. When you know the user, which means typically, and I'm talking in the context of Klaviyo here, when you know the user, Klaviyo understands based on the cookie that this user's data already exists. That data could be an SMS if they signed up for the first time on a mobile device, or that data could be an email address. Either way, if that user, and you can set up these triggers in Klaviyo, and we will show this in our internal group training separately on how to specifically set these up. But if you set it up, for example, you have their email address, you can show them a desktop SMS only pop-up first if you know their email address. And you can segment the users in Klaviyo first and then exclude or include them based on their status. So if you have their mobile phones, you will only show them email pop-up. If you have their email address, you'll show them SMS only pop-up. And if you have both of them, you can show them a segmentation pop-up. Now, what does a segmentation pop-up? And this is something that Klaviyo does not, at least at this point, have the ability to do. So you're going to have to use a third party, like a Privy, like an Attentive, or like some other tool like Pop10. But the idea is, in this pop-up, you're not collecting an email address. In this pop-up, since you already know the user, you're going to ask them a second question. So let's say you're selling shoes, running shoes. Now you want to ask them, hey, what kind of running do you do? Trail running, road running, marathons, sprints, etc. Races, competitions, triathlons. You might want to ask them gender. What do you generally shop for men? Do you generally shop for women? Do you generally shop for kids? If you're a baby product store, you could ask them the age of their children. You could ask them the gender for the child. Any which ways, you could show them a segmentation pop-up so that your messaging can be further customized. And of course, first-party data rules. The first-party data is something that we are recommending every brand to collect now. So yes, so this is the kind of pop-ups you would show. And then once you collect this information, you move them into the email-only welcome flow or SMS-only welcome flow, because they've already been through the other welcome flow for a while when they give you that information. So email only for the rest of sign up for rest of site, SMS only sign up, email only sign up for product and collections pages, SM only sign up for product and collection pages. So that's essentially the kind of pop-ups you want to create. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 pop-ups for the desktop users. Similar concept for the mobiles as well, except for one difference, which is the unknown user. So let's go there for a sec. Now, multi-step should be targeted to exclude any and all users on all of our lists, obviously. Multi-step should have 2 copies, one for rest of site, 10%, and for product or collection pages, 15% instant deal. This is what I was referring to earlier. SMS only should be shown to users only of emails. Feedback, survey, segmentation should appear to users that are already in both SMS as well as email list. Exit intent, wait, don't leave, get a free gift instead. All site targeted only to unknown users that are not in our list. Exit intent for product and collection pages, offering a specific deal for the product if they shop within a specific time, like get this deal for the next 60 minutes or so. Known users not in SMS, show SMS pop-up. Known users in SMS, not in email list, show email pop-up. So that's kind of the logic. Multi-step of product collections also double up as exit intent, as I explained earlier. So that's basically a extension of the previous page. Now let's go back on the mobile side. Similar thing, unknown users versus known users. Same logic applies. We want to show them SMS first pop-up. If you see here on the product and collection pages, because what we are trying to do here is, and we will obviously test this, we should test on both sides. But the idea here is Let's imagine for a minute that they're on a product or a collection page. Now, on the mobile device, obviously, your job is to collect the information as quickly as possible with as little effort as possible. You show them an email pop-up, they have to manually type the email address or even a mobile number. Klaviyo, on the other hand, offers a ability to have a two tap to sign up SMS pop-up. What would happen is when they load the page, it would show a pop-up that says tap to join. They tap on it, the default SMS app on their mobile opens. On that SMS app, they're able to tap once again because the message is pre-filled. Your system automatically gets the SMS. They're automatically subscribed to your system or to your list. So that's basically how your mobile system will function. I would not go into the details of explaining all of this logic because I've already covered this. It's essentially if they're on the mobile device. The only change is mobile device. Everything else remains the same here. So now let's take a look at logical flow of the customer journey on a website typically. So the different places where a user could sign up on your website, newsletter footer element, and I'll show you some samples. Almost on all websites, especially in the context of Shopify, there is an element on the footer which says sign up for our newsletter. You should always make use of that element. What we are trying to do, what our objective here is not just to show pop-ups. Our objective is to use every tool available at our disposal to collect as many email addresses as we can. And that's basically where this conversation comes from. So newsletter footer element, definitely have that. Default for non-user desktop, single step SMS only, preview-based SMS only. These are the ones that are very important. In-page sign-up prompt embedded in every page of the website. So while footer is great, you should also have a specific segment. It's called a block or a component in a page. In every page, you should embed a sign-up form wherever there is content, homepage, blogs, etc., etc. So I will show you exactly what that looks like in a minute. But yes, that's important to have this on every page. Then, of course, default for all users, mobile SMS enabled, tap to SMS, not enabled single step pop-up. Default for known users, we've already discussed this. Lead magnet style pop-ups, multi-step, can be run using Klaviyo Privy. Hotlist pop-up. Hotlist is essentially the exit intent on the product/collections pages. So these are, again, same concept, but explanation in different types of pop-ups that should be enabled and created on the website. Now, we are going to go look at some of these examples here. So here is a website, and this is the footer. Newsletter footer element, as you can see on the right side, here is a newsletter footer element. One step closer to cleaner cooking, unlock free shipping, etc. You're offering a gift, and every page of the website collects this. Even if they close the pop-up, they can always come back to the footer and they can sign up. So that's something very important that we recommend every brand to have. In-page sign-up prompt. Remember, I told you that have this kind of thing in every page. So if you notice, while they have a sign-up form here, they also have a sign-up form here. Sign up for our emails, join our closed-knit community. This could be in a different layout. This could be a block. This could be a different color of a background. Either way, always, always, always include an in-page sign-up prompt embedded in every page. Now let's look at an example of single-step SMS only. Now this is when we already know that we have their email address. They're on the desktop. So we're showing them a 15% off sign up for SMS list. Get 15% off now. At the back end, the logic already says that they're already on our email list. So we are only showing an SMS pop-up. Here is an example of tap to sign up. What happens here is there are two examples here. On this one, they have to enter the email address. On this, they just have to tap. So the moment they tap, the next screen will show them SMS entry form and they will be able to sign up. It's not here. I mean, I've not included that screenshot, but I'd be happy to. If you want, let me know in the comments below. But this tab will open an SMS screen on their device. And when they click on that SMS send, you have their email, their phone number. This is when you want to collect an email address. So on the mobile device, this is what it could look like. Now, here is another example. Multi or single step. This is what a typical multi-step form would look like. Start with an email address and the first name. Go on to the mobile number on the next step. That's your typical multi-step. Another example from the same with email and phone. So if you start there, you can always add another pop-up here, another screen, or just collect their email address because gamification improves conversion. These spin to win tools generally collect approximately 10 to 13% conversion for our brands that we manage. So for every 100 people that come to the site, 10 to 12 end up giving you their email address. The beauty is, even if there is no deal on, even if there's no sale on, they would open it in a new browser window. They would see this, sign up, get a discount voucher, and purchase. They might turn off the pop-up, but generally people don't turn it off in the hopes that they might get a $50 gift card, they might get a free product. So they are definitely very interested in running a spin to win. So that's kind of why we always encourage to have this. Now these are straightforward exit intents, etc. So the messaging is slightly different, but again, this is exit intent. Mobile tablets, again, exit intent. So these are some basic examples. Now this is interesting. This is an interesting strategy, by the way. When you start with the pop-up, you're not giving them a discount. You're just using a lead magnet. You're offering an incentive that they might be able to win. So if you see here, subscribe for a chance to win a year of free Imi Ramen. We select a winner every month. No deals offered, no discounts offered. However, the moment they sign up, the next step says, don't stop now. Insert your phone number, and you'll also get updates on Imi delivery, exclusive offers, and more. So you are essentially upping the ante. You're giving them something more. You could start with 10% here and say, add another 5%, give us your phone number. So they've got an extra incentive to give you their mobile phone, because you do want to collect both, because mobile has about 13% CTR, while as email has 1 to 3% CTR. So it's like 10x more advantages to have a mobile phone. So definitely have these two options. Now, while we've discussed this, I mean, I'm sure that there are questions, and we'll be happy to answer these questions. So that's a good question. Somebody asks this question. Let me include this here. What plugin do you recommend for WordPress for pop-up? Well, there are a number of plugins actually, depending on which email service you use. I'm taking a question first from someone that asked this question. So there is Poptin, there is Klaviyo, there is Sumo, there is Opt-in Monster. There are a number of plugins. Based on your use case, if you can tell me the specific business case, like you're looking at e-commerce, you're looking at a newsletter, based on whatever it is you're looking at, are you looking at that transporting that email address directly from WordPress into Klaviyo or into MailChimp? I can make a recommendation on the pop-up. But that's a great question. Thanks for asking that question. Okay, let's continue. So now, what not to do? Asking me to sign up without giving me a reason or an offer good enough. At the end of the day, always remember, the relationship with a customer or a prospect is a give and take relationship. You give some, you get some. If we continue to simply make ask, it will not work. So always, always, always offer something. And no, your newsletter is not an offer. Something exclusive or insight or something of value in the newsletter is an offer. Your newsletter is not an offer. Why do I say this? I'll show you an example on the next screen. I basically found this website. I was searching for something on Google and I found this website. I came to the site. Even before I was able to view the entire page, I'll show you something what I saw. Within 5 seconds, I see this. Now take a look. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm not calling out anybody here. I mean, it's definitely an oversight on their part. I'm sure they have a great product, because they're obviously appearing on the page 1 of Google. But with that being said, get updates. That's the call to action. That's the offer. No, I'm not interested. And especially daily, weekly, and special. Sorry, it's someone taking a shortcut, and it's not how or why anybody would sign up for your newsletter. So that's kind of what to avoid. There are a lot of other things to do here. I will obviously be covering more in this training. Now, I want to also kind of take a minute to show you some of these in live settings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open an incognito window and try and load some of these websites. So you see some of these live in action, where you can call them best practices, you can call them hacks, you can call them some of the ideas that we've seen that work very well for some of our clients in the past. So take a look at this brand, for example. When you see this, suddenly this is gamification. Now, by the way, this is not, okay, let's look at it here. So this is not actual scratching. This is an animated GIF. So you basically create something like this in Canva. You enter the details here. I'm not going to enter the details here, but on the next screen, you would simply have another animation from one of these three. And you would have displayed, okay, you get this, and the coupon is in your email. That's what you would do on the next screen. You could gamify on the next screen as well. You could say, hey, by the way, here's another scratch card. You've already got $25 voucher. Want to unlock the second voucher? Enter your mobile number. So now suddenly you have 2 vouchers, and that they could use for 2 purchases. They're not going to be able to use 2 vouchers at the same time, but save it for future. You get your mobile number, you get their email address. So that's one example of how this is being done right. Another example of a website that does it well as far as gamification is concerned is this. Take a look at this one. This website is not doing scratch cards. They're doing slots. Take a look at this. It looks like a slot machine is on. Play to win. Check this out. Sorry, where did it go? There you go. You see this? This thing looks like slots, as if you're playing slots. So now you enter the details, and the next screen it will show you some 3 of those together. You won this. So this is an animation GIF that you can create. I mean, we are building it in Canva. We'll be happy to share the template with you if you want. But yes, that's basically how this would help organize this. Okay, now let's keep going further. Once this is done, let's take another example. I want to show you a particular example here, which is a survey type, a question type. Remember, I was talking to you about micro commitment versus macro commitments, or a micro yes versus macro yes. It will show up in a couple of seconds. So we're going to have to hold up for a few seconds before that loads up. So let's close this one from here. Let's keep scrolling. It shows up in a couple of seconds. So I'm going to have to request you to bear patience with me while it loads. So hold on. We are reading the website. We are consistently looking at it. There will be a couple of different pop-ups that will load up here actually. So by the way, when I said collections, so when you look at this URL, this is a collection supervision. Ignore this pop-up as well. We're not going to look at this. We're going to look at the next one after this. So this is not the pop-up we want. This is a very generic pop-up, right? We don't want this. Now we are going to keep looking, and then we're going to see a third pop-up appear here in a couple of seconds. So bear with me as I wait. But that pop-up would be a question. It would ask me a specific question that I can answer with just a click. And that basically makes me commit. And when I make a small commitment, I can make a big commitment. Okay, it doesn't look like it's in the mood to show up now, or maybe it has already gone. Let's see. My apologies if it doesn't show up. I tested this before getting on this live. This is one of the challenges with the live recordings. Sometimes it doesn't show up. Well, there you go. It's an exit intent. Answer to get 12% off. What are you looking for? Whey, vegan, pre-workout, superfood, snacks. See how beautiful this is? No questions. No inputs asked, just a tab. I tap here. Hurry, offer expires soon. Sign up to our email list to get the code. You enter your email, you can claim the discount. So this is what I meant when I said micro commitments lead to macro commitments. So I hope that this session has been useful. I'm surprised that this is only 21 minutes. I thought it was going to take 30 to 40 minutes. But yes, so this is basically part 1. We are going to talk some more about how to get these things set up in tactical training. But yes, these are the different types of pop-ups we recommend having on the website. In our group, we are also going to be hosting some training about the specific messaging that you can use, whether it's discounts, whether it is lead magnets, whether it is support services, whether it is one-to-one product selection, any kind of information that you want. But those are the things that are extremely helpful when it comes to creating these pop-ups. So we have this program where we are doing this training, and the cohort would be an e-commerce operating system. If you want to join, comment below, let me know. I'll send you some more details. But this would take your brand from start to finish. This would show you exactly how to build an e-commerce brand, whether it's from the founder's perspective or from an agency perspective where you want to help your clients. So what we are going to cover, and I'm still finalizing my notes here, but typically we are going to help with build, launch, grow, scale, and exit the company. So these are the 5 elements. Can I show them here on the screen somehow? These are the elements, by the way. Oh, interesting. No, it's not going to autofocus. So I'll include this separately. But yes, so we are launching a cohort, and I would love to have some conversations around it. So yeah, that's kind of the end of this. Hope this has been useful. I'll see you tomorrow. If there are topics that you want me to talk about, if there are topics you want me to cover, by all means, feel free to let me know.